to unmute. Okay, there we go. There we go. Got the sound in. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. We're now going live. First, as usual, this video is going to be for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his own homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource Channel is not liable or responsible for anyone's misuse of the information. With that being said, all rights are reserved. Keep in mind, it's up to every individual that everyone is responsible for their own commercial affairs. I see you guys in the chat section. I'm going to be going between two screens. I'm using this Zoom software. The title of this video is going to be where to find intel on the Iraqi dinar and other foreign currencies. I'm going to put that in the chat section. I didn't see, it opened up another separate window. See, Rashawn Elam says, hey, dear brother, no sound. Okay, I know I got that resolved, by the way, real quick. I had to take myself off mute. See, Money Boy Films in the building. What's good with you? It's been a minute, Money Boy. Says, how you been? I've been excellent. So the title of this video is going to be where to find intel on the Iraqi dinar and other foreign currencies. I've got some websites pulled up. By the way, I'm gonna try not to pay attention. I have another screen where I can go back to read you guys comments in the chat section. Once again, the title of this video is going to be where to find intel on the Iraqi dinar and other foreign currencies, revaluation. There's other currencies. I know there happens to be a lot of emphasis that's placed on the dinar. However, there's a lot of other currencies that are supposed to revalue as well, by the way. And what I intend to do is I'm going to test out going to screen share. I have several different websites that I go to pull this information up where when I want to read the latest updates, so I want to find out what's going on. Now, contrary to popular belief, some people have been in this investment for a very long time. I do consider it a form of an investment. Some call it an exchange. There are private aspects of this type of investment. What qualifies me to speak on the subject, there was an event I attended some years ago where I received, this, what I've shown, by the way, it's real, by the way, and I've gone over in past videos. This is not active, from what I understand, many years ago. I won't go over that story, but some may question what are my credentials. I bring experience to the table. I've also gone over on numerous occasions. This is for newbies. And this video, you can say unofficially, is by request. I've actually put the dinar on the back burner a long time ago, by the way. I wanted to answer some of the things that's been put out there, by the way. And just keep in mind, these are my opinions. This is not investment advice. This is not securities advice. This is not financial or legal advice. In the event you feel you need that to seek that out, there's competent professionals. However, what I'm bringing is I'm going over my experience, what I've witnessed, and to try to help those that have come to me privately about and publicly about genuine questions they have as far as what's going on. So I'm going to go over different websites that, for example, I think have credible information. I know some people don't believe the gurus to be accurate, legitimate. However, in my opinion, as long as I've been following, I can tell you from firsthand experience, well, there's not a lot of people out there that have mentioned some of the things that I mentioned specifically about brick and mortar locations that sold the currency. There was even a particular intel provider out there that was told to me privately by one of my subscribers. Well, I found out they didn't even know about the brick and mortar exchange location. I don't know if in the state that they were in, if they were accessible, but I do know at one time, and then the reason I go over this, there's always new people that have don't know about this or did not know, but this is a fact that Chase Bank used to sell Dinar at one time. Yes, this is a fact. They used to deny it. There was a period some years ago where they used to lie about it. Also, Fifth Third Bank. I have direct confirmation from a banker that I spoke to a couple years ago, approximately in the summer, that confirmed to me privately in a neighboring state, by the way, I won't say which state, that they indeed sold it, and she actually held some herself, by the way. I've also spoken with a married couple. I won't say their names, but they're in the state of Michigan, obviously, that also confirmed to me that they purchased some from Fifth Third Bank. Also have another source, two other sources that confirm they had purchased some from Chase Bank. This is a fact. Now, there was a period, because this was private, from what I had to figure out years ago when I attended that other event where I showed the car, that was a separate thing. They never told us that there was a connection with this whole global currency reset, by the way, for those of you all who may be wondering. So I, just like many millions of other people who know about this or still holding foreign currency privately, were trying to figure out what's going on. And we had to read and evaluate the little bit of information that we could get. By the way, as I told the story, I've been knowing about this type of investment since 2006. However, I didn't make my first purchase until early part of 2011. And prior to that, I did a lot of research for what was available at the time, by the way. So just wanted to give you guys some of that, for those that were wondering, continue to have questions if this is a scam, and I've addressed some of those issues, what is legitimate, what is not. But one has to make their own evaluation, their own assessment at the end of the day. So without further ado, I'm going to attempt to share my screen, by the way. And hopefully, okay, this is the screen I wanted to share. So you guys should be able to see this in the video. By the way, I have several different windows pulled up. Okay, this section is from a general YouTube search where I just put in where to find Iraq Dinar. These other windows, this is from Google Chrome web browser, by the way. This is one particular site. Someone asked me in the previous video that I did, or prior to that video, where can I find Bruce's calls? And I mentioned if you type in Bruce the Big Call, but some people are not good with the search engine. It's very simple. I use Yahoo or Google or Microsoft Bing web browser, and just type in, you might have to scroll down, depends on if you pull up different web browsers, it may come up at the top, it may show up at the bottom. And the site is called Big Call Universe. And if you click on call archives, by the way, okay, I'll try it again. It says, oops, the page cannot be found. Oh, it looks like then they may have taken them down. And this might have just happened just recently, because I do hear that things are close. So as I'm learning, just like you guys, I'm doing this video in live time. That's why I let you guys know I did a test run with the Zoom the other day. I deleted that video. I was just doing a test, but I discovered I could share my screen and go over what I share with you guys, how to find that information, by the way. So this was the website. There are older calls you still might be able to find online that are still available, by the way. When I mentioned throughout the years, there was a list of intel providers and gurus that I kept up with. And I want to confirm TNT's information is accurate. Bruce's information I've listened to is accurate. But what one has to do is be able to connect different pieces together, because I was part of, you can say, a private clandestine organization operation I did not come back to when I showed that when I went through a process to receive this this black card. And there was videos that I've done in the past about that, by the way, is I was showing credibility. And the reason why I went public and decided to dox myself by showing my real name, I wanted to let you guys know there was validity, and I had to connect the pieces to some things, even though they told us with that particular organization they didn't state that there was a correlation. They were very secretive. What someone stated to me privately, it's a possibility that that organization could have been a form of a private group, or if you guys have heard of the prosperity programs, the prosperity packages, and there were different types of groups out there, and some of them have disappeared in recent years as we've been waiting a very long time for this to take place. So I do believe there's validity. The top gurus that I follow personally, as I was going over, I've gone over Bruce's call, TNT Tony, and he has gone over in the past. I was listening to part of a call that Currency 365 uploaded that Benny had done, and Benny had poo-pooed TNT's information. But TNT, I can tell you, he's former military, by the way. These are credentials. I've never seen Benny's face before, so it's important when people, go over information. I can tell you for a fact, I've compared notes, and there's things that I've learned from Tony that I've never met him personally before, but I can tell you I've connected some pieces where he mentioned there was a particular bank that sold a particular foreign currency, and I went to 2 different locations that were near me, and I actually saw 2 different customers who were women at the time who stood in the front line where the teller booth is at and ordered this particular currency. And I didn't even know at the time that you could order this particular currency. Some would say, I'm just not saying the name. Some say it's like the sister to the dinar. It's a different country, but it was talked about that they're like joined at the hip, like brother and sister. I wouldn't have known about that information if it wasn't for TNT Tony, who's all the way on the West Coast, and I'm on the East Coast. As you see, I've obviously never met before. So that means that's information. That's one part of information to show throughout the years I've listened to him. He was credible. Now, I haven't listened to him in, you could say, in more recent months or whatever, because many years ago, I put this on the back burner. I'm not a money hungry person as some would have tried to accuse me of, or greedy, as many people are out there. By the way, I'm sharing this information as a courtesy, by the way, for those who want to find out the legitimacy where they can research on their own and make their own evaluation, make their own assessment. You see, I'm giving you the tools, by the way, to be able to do that. So I went over the big call, and there's many years ago, there was numerous other people. This site, I guess is a recent call he did. This was from a site called Dinar Tube. This may have been connected to a website called Dinar Detectives, which, seeing if I can pull up, okay, it keeps pulling my other screen up. Ooh. Okay, there we go. I had to kind of click down. This is from another website. I'm gonna go to the home location. This site is called dinardetectives.com. As I'm sharing my screen, you guys should be able to see in real time as I scroll down. By the way, once it pulls up, there's a delay, or maybe a delay on you guys' end. I'm not really sure. The last video, when I did a test run, it did upload to my main channel. I was unaware because the screen that came up looked like it was from my second channel, but I did see that it did upload on my main channel as I'm learning to use this particular software and in real time. But I'm just showing you there's different intel providers. Many have asked me who was the guy that I uploaded the videos from months ago. By the way, that was Fleming. He's on Dinar Detectives. I even believe where if you click on the area, as you see where I have the mouse where it says top gurus, by the way, you can see it goes through a list. TNT Mark Z, he has a YouTube channel. I believe he's actually on now, by the way. He comes on around the same time. He has like a show in the morning, then he does like a show in the evening. Has good intel. I've read his intel throughout the years from a website called Dinar Guru, also dinarrecaps.com. I plan on going over that. Frank is in here, who I've met before. Currency 365, of course, he's in here, and there's some others, by the way. So you can scroll down through this site. There's different audio. Some of these are links to read the notes from their calls or the information that they went over, by the way. And then there's a section at the bottom where I guess you can click on each one of the gurus, intel providers, I prefer to call them, and read or see or check out their latest information, by the way, like way down at the bottom, by the way. So as I see, double checking. So I'm going to jump to the chat section real quick just to acknowledge you guys that have just joined or just came in here. We have the real deal 3 says, how you doing, brother? Hope all is well. 100. Appreciate you joining. Thank you for the shout out. Serena S says, hey Dorsey, where you been? GTSY, thank you for joining. I'm not sure what the acronym, the GTSY means. You have to maybe elaborate if you're still in the chat. Mary Saunders says, yes, I can see it. Appreciate it, Mary. I've got confirmation. I'm on the other screen, so I can see what you guys see. Mary Saunders says, good evening, Mr. Dorsey. Chi Vegas says, peace, peace, peace. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for the acknowledgement. Now, to go back over to switch windows, let me go back to the other part. Where was I at? Okay, so I was going over, I went over Dinar Detectives. Now, let's see, where's this other site at? Having some technical difficulty at the top. Okay, we went over. Okay, now we have, you guys should be able to see, this is from dinarrecaps.com. And this right here is an excerpt of Restored Republic. I love reading the reports they have, by the way. In the past, I've come across different audios from Restored Republic. So I'm going to go over some of the information. I may not read all of it. Some of it I might skip over, but since you guys can see what I'm sharing, we can go over some of the notes from the latest intel. It says, compiled by Judy Byton. Judy note, the world was experiencing a financial crisis instigated by bankruptcy of the Chinese Communist Party's giant worldwide real estate company, Evergrande, and U.S. incorporated bankruptcy in 2008 that resulted in a fiat dollar doing havoc to international trade. That crisis was in the process of being solved through a global currency reset that has been in the works for over 20 years. Completion of that GCR was under authority of the US and world militaries and dependent upon certain worldwide events happening, which I agree, global currency reset, okay. December, it has a date in here, according to Simon Parks, Nick Fleming, Bruce, and Mark Z. Okay, this is some similar information to some of the other gurus, by the way. And this is why I believe it's validity of what they're saying, by the way. And that there is a disclaimer in here. I'm gonna say, this is from Fleming's page. This is a key note. I should have read this earlier on, but keep this note in mind. All intel should be considered as rumors until we're making exchange. I'll say to add on, appointments and rates and dates and exchange procedures could change anytime, which they have. This has been an evolving situation throughout the years until we get to the bank/redemption center. So always keep that in mind. I believe I've heard in the past, well, I have heard in the past, in my opinion, I shouldn't say in my opinion, I know they've stated, some gurus I've listened to said the powers that be that control this don't really want us to know about dates and rates. They've said that a long time ago. They want it to just roll out unexpectedly. But people still are going to always ask and guess and wonder. By the way, this is some of the same information which I should get a chance to go over, by the way. Okay, it says the Iraq dinar has a new rate of over $11.90 USD that went international on Monday, the 29th. The US was withdrawing the remaining 3,630 troops out of Iraq the night of Thursday, December 2nd, so that Iraq could announce their sovereignty to the world on Friday, December 3rd. Since before Thanksgiving, paymasters have been ordered and remained in place to pay out bondholders tier 3 and tier 4A B, us, the internet group, it has in parentheses, by the way, which tier 4B, you guys don't know, that was added on, in my opinion. The powers that be, the cabal, the evil cabal, did that on purpose to stall this, stall the release. By the way, which you guys have known throughout the years, there's also been a lot of delays when this was supposed to happen many times. By the way, going back to 2014, there were numerous times that it was very close. Another thing, the reason why TNT is accurate, I went over the reason before where I haven't met them, but my information has matched up from my experience, my sources, people that I know at my lower level contacts that I have. There's two other things. I learned about the foreign currency book from him, by the way, which I saw a banker many years ago in person. I've only told this story a few times. She was flipping through the book. This was at one time when the higher ups at Chase Bank were telling their lower level tellers, mention to customers who ask about the dinar, tell them that it's a terrorist currency, or tell them we don't deal with the dinar. They had to stop doing that like a few years ago. I forget exactly. Don't quote me on it. But the last time I used to bank with Chase, it was like a couple years ago. I'm at a different institution now, but I do recall that changed. I also found out about that from TNT. He mentioned when I would listen to his calls, the few calls that I caught, by the way, earlier, many years ago, I would probably listen, almost every day. But, there's times when you take a break. So the little bit of times that I've kept up, he's done numerous calls. So I just want to say, just giving credit where credit is due. I don't poo-poo anyone or put down gurus. I want you to know I don't do that over here. But I read, and in the past, I've read a collection of data, and I do believe there's accuracy. Not saying necessarily I haven't studied all of the gurus or all of the ones that are involved or put out intel, but I have followed TNT for a number of years, Bruce, and some of the information, they may have different sources. Things might be slightly different, and things have also changed. But I'm going over things to prove that TNT's accuracy has had a lot of accuracy to what he stated, by the way, from my experience that I've personally witnessed. Another thing what TNT mentioned many years ago, where there was on his call, one of his calls, I don't remember what year or which date, but I did hear him go over this, that on several occasions, there was some VIP people, very important people, he didn't say who, had exchanged in the middle of the night. And I do have a source, actually, I saw him not too long ago and kind of brought up to him very briefly. And he knows someone who, I won't go into all the details where I met the guy. I won't say where, but this was a legitimate story. And this matched up with TNT. He saw it show up. He knew which currency or foreign currency exchange, like Forex site. He checked one night. He logged in and saw that it was live at the time. And I guess they did this to make temporary exchanges, and then they would drop the rate much lower than what it was at the time. But they did this like temporarily, and I guess had people in special positions or bankers that had maybe higher level credentials, by the way. So this was legitimacy to what TNT said. This is the actual source that I have experience, contrary. So I can't make people believe me, but I'm just sharing this with you guys to provide validity. Some things I haven't gone over as much, or I'm going over for the first time. Also have receipts, by the way, to back up. And I talk about the legitimate side, by the way. I don't talk about the other things or scams out there that happen. There are things like that. Just like you have people, counterfeiters, that do stuff that they can counterfeit or do that with anything in the world or the system, with whether it's DVDs, movies, or clothes, how people bootleg stuff. What I talk about is the legitimate side. I say the similar thing to the redemption education, because there's some people who just try to disregard all this information and just say, because they haven't done any research, and just say this is a complete scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, this, that, and the other, but they haven't done their research. And I'm talking about the legitimate side for those who do very in-depth, intricate research. And I encourage you to use your own, make your own evaluation, do your own research. That's why I do give a disclaimer and tell everyone, do your own homework, make your own assessment. These are still my opinions, but I'm going over my experience and the accuracy. Just sharing this on a side note, this is a freestyle of why TNT, his information has been accurate, as well as I feel information Bruce has stated has matched up with that organization I was part of in the past, by the way. So I know there's validity. I want you guys to know, contrary to what people, when they try to bash the gurus and talk trash about them, no, there's accuracy to both Bruce and TNT and others. You just have to understand, if you've never heard about the private sector or the elites that don't have an understanding, I get it. Some people genuinely, but there's people out there that are provocateurs, that are agents, that are minions, gatekeepers, and things of that sort, who are trying to sabotage things from other people. And some people just simply don't know, or they're in competition. My friend calls these rat beefs, and I stay away from stuff like that, where people are trying to also sell websites or sell their information, say I'm the best, and I'm just sharing the information from a multitude of sources. I pull information from multiple sources, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing to receive a better assessment, to get a better evaluation as to what's really happening, by the way. So I just want you guys to understand that from my experience, I have sources, people that I know privately, who have shared things with me even many years ago, even if we haven't talked recently, by the way. So this information I was going over is from Restored Republic, and this was on a site anybody can pull up. It's called dinarrecaps.com, by the way. And some of this list, when the conference call information, some of the latest information I was going over, it talks about the bondholders should receive access to their funds. At the same time, Tier 4B should receive notification to start the redemption/exchanges. It says HSBC, owned by the Chinese elders, would lead the process through Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corp. In the US, the redemption process would begin in Temple, Texas, not Reno, okay? I'm just reading, this is from dinarrecaps.com. Once again, this is from Restored Republic. Some of it has information that's mixed in with, it mentions Bruce with the big call, and some information there's others in here. When you click on their blog link, it says the US Incorporated would be out of money by Friday, December 3rd. Congress, December 15th extension to shut down the government would not change that fact. The stock market has been in free fall since last Friday. Then it has a link to click on. It says South Africa, which holds the Zim bonds, has been given notice that the emergency broadcast system would be activated, and they would be under martial law by Saturday, December 4th, 2021. So that I'm not aware of, necessarily. I'm just reading what's going on overseas. Sometimes people have questions about, sometimes you have to, if you're not living in that country, sometimes we don't know. And even sometimes the people over in these foreign countries, when you read intel from them, they might not keep up with some of the things that are happening where they're at. So they might not necessarily know. Like I have a friend that knows someone that's from Iraq, where you have Iraqi nationals or foreigners that live here in the States. And some of them had never even heard of this, or some don't know, or have asked their family members, and some of their family that lives over there are not understanding what's really going on. One of the things TNT went over many years ago, he stated their revaluation is going to be different from our rate, what we receive over here. Just like Canada's currency, when I went over in a previous video, is different, pegged against the US dollar. Just like the Great British Pound is generally worth more money when you exchange it to the backed against the USD, the Great British Pound, the GP, how do you say it? The GBP or something like that. Their currency is generally worth more than the US dollar. So TNT was saying years ago, keep in mind, many of you all may not be aware of this, because at one time they keep track, or kept the record, they still do, of how many currency holders are out there. I was also informed, even when I was part of that event years ago, they ran a background check. The powers that be that are over this, they ran newer background checks. They have estimated amounts of how many people are holding Dinar. I hear allegedly it's estimated up to 7 million now. I don't know, but that's like an estimate. Some say higher than that. Some sources have stated 9 to 10 million, by the way. And I do hear, if you don't hold Zim, you don't have to go or worry about exchange centers. There's been people that were worried or concerned where they're going to have to call an 800 number. And I heard, well, if you don't hold Zim, you don't have to worry about that. Let's say if you have Vietnamese dong, Indonesian rupiah, Iranian rial, you just can wait till it goes live or goes public once you find out you can exchange at the designated institutions, proper banking institutions that are authorized, which they said that information at a certain point will come out there. I think we're getting closer, by the way, in my humble opinion. So I'm gonna go back to the my other screen, see a few more of you guys in the building. I'm gonna read from the chat. It says, the real deal says, I appreciate the time and energy you put into this to tell us what's going on. 100, always love. Appreciate you. Thank you for the feedback. NATO says, hi, Dorsey, you're on the ball. Appreciate you. Says, Dorsey, hope you're having a great day. It's about to get exciting with a wonderful roller coaster ride. Thank you. Money Boy Film says, facts. Appreciate the confirmation. So you guys can see the screen. You know, that's why I got the Zoom software, so you guys can see. It's a lot easier to see what I'm reading from and what I go over when I'm curious about. But I put this on the back burner years ago, guys. I do like Currency 365, some of the assessment he makes, the different evaluations and things with the previous video, by the way. But I wanted to say, years ago, some of the gurus didn't necessarily go by just what was happening in Iraq, because this originally was not based upon that. This type of investment was more so private, just like the Kuwaiti dollar. This is a fact revalued many years ago, where it's only a handful of people that even knew about that at the time, sometime back in the 90s. And you got to understand, by us being in the modern day society dealing with the internet, more people have access to information. People have smartphones, they have apps. There's way more social media accounts. So throughout the years, more people have found out, even people that's contacted me who were involved in other circles, or let's say redemption education, are even currency holders, by the way. I won't say their names to keep them private, but the information is out there. But what was going on in Iraq, TNT mentioned many years ago, it wasn't contingent upon what happens over here with our exchange, because this is a type of investment. When you have to understand the private sector, or how the elites, the big boys, do things. Now, I may not be as knowledgeable as far as Currency 365 or others when it comes to cryptocurrencies, but I do know about the private sector, the banking cartel, some of the things. That's why I went over, I showed what I showed earlier in this video, by the way, to demonstrate my experience that I bring to the table, even though I decided not to come back to that event at the time, a year and a half ago, wherever it was. They are still holding my documents that I submitted some years ago. I don't know honestly what happened to. I was told allegedly one person had it, but I don't know if that's true. It's like they're playing good cop, bad cop. So at the end of the day, I hope, I can only hope and pray that they do what's right, because there's other people that do know, and they're in the same situation. Some sources, someone I talked to, stated that they wish that they could receive their package back because they don't know what has happened. But from connecting these pieces, connecting the dots, I'm empowering you guys with the skill sets to do the research like I do and go a step beyond and connect the pieces. And I'm also going by experience, people that I know personally that have confided in me privately and told me things as well. And we've compared notes together, by the way. So just wanted to show that, to bring some clarification. So what's going on in Iraq or whatever doesn't really dictate what the private sector, because remember, there was tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. There's other countries that are involved in the exchange process. The tier 2, you had government, you had diplomats, potentates, dignitaries involved. When you get into tier 3 and towards tier 4, that's groups. By the way, tier 3, what I understand, that's where the private groups, big groups that you had that were at a higher tier level, by the way. So it just wasn't regular folks that were holding foreign currency. There was an update by Fleming that I had pulled up. I'm gonna see if I can go over it. This one was from last month, the 3rd, about approximately a month ago. The 3rd, it was called a hell loop. I'm gonna start down from this paragraph. It says, in the waiting for the RVGCR hell loop is clearly the cabal villain versus the average man holding currency. And then it has hero in parentheses, waiting for his turn to deliver freedom to all that he can reach. So why the hell loop? Then they have question mark. The misguided hero always knocking on the bank's door, ready for his turn to exchange, getting the same painful reply to every pitiful request to exchange, hearing only not yet. Why we even add on, or we're close, or we're near. We've heard that numerous times. That's why I said this video is by request. I put this on the back burner many years ago. I haven't really, it may seem like it would be nice, but I mean, really, I'm at a point, I'm more mature because some people ask me, when did I think this is going to happen? I said, I'm not even expecting this till, next spring. Maybe it does happen soon. I don't know. But because when you've been waiting this long, you have a tendency, you don't really care anymore. At least me personally. Other people that were new were like always, it has you on the edge, kind of similar to when I attended this event years ago. The individual at the top was always promising us week after week this was going to pump. We were on the edge of our seats like this was going to happen. We were going to be funded. And, where this was just one transaction, by the way. This was a separate transaction from the DTC paperwork. And this was told to me by a private source. I didn't even know that, by the way, because even back then, when they keep things secret like that, I don't know if these people run in the same circles. I didn't know that this was connected to this thing they call the Great Reset or the global currency reset. I had questions just like you guys. So, this is why I've stayed abreast throughout the years from multiple sources, by the way. And I suggest you guys do the same thing. It will make you smarter, where you won't have to depend necessarily on a guru or someone in particular you like to listen to. I'm telling you to show my honesty, cross-reference other sources of people. And that way you can make your own assessment, make a better assessment, I should say, a better evaluation as far as the accuracy and the authenticity, as far as what you hear, if it's credible or not. That's why I go over these credentials. That's why I show what I've shown. I've even shown the application to get access to that, by the way. Just wanted to show you guys my credibility. So I was reading from this article. It says the misguided hero always knocking on the bank's door, ready for his turn to exchange, getting the same painful reply to every pitiful request exchange, hearing only not yet. I read that part already. The villain is laughing behind his hands, feeding the hero's worst fears, fanning the flames, whispering tales of other lucky people that have spendable money of account, how they are buying luxury homes and enjoying the good life while the have-nots are suffering and even dying. This is a clear example of a hell loop. So this is kind of funny. And this is part of a vlog he has, by the way. There's some more information that was updated. I kind of went over a little bit of it earlier. It was very similar to that Restored Republic information. This is why I say there's legitimacy, in my opinion, to what the gurus are saying, that the top intel providers, there's accuracy. I believe Mark Z is accurate, by the way, just in my opinion. When hope is proven futile, how long can a normal person persevere? The answer, considering that it's already been more than 10 years for most of us waiting in this hell loop of promised RV GCR, is that it's impossible to know. A normal person would have given up long ago, not believing in the possibility of exit to redemption. And I know it feels like that. I've discussed that with people that had questions in the past that wonder, what's taking so long. Redemption has so many meanings here. Redeeming currency / bonds is redeeming our freedom, redeeming our God name, redeeming the very life force energy, the reason for existence, all included in the redemption from this RV GCR hell loop. Yes, the possibility to redeem for the hundreds of thousands of stalwart heroes in this redemption endeavor is 100%. We get to the other side with knowledge and acceptance and forgiveness after the required challenges are handled. Any challenge that threatens the safety of hundreds of thousands will not remain, including any and all criminal activity and any existing system in play in the world today. This includes banking, military, medical, whatever nefarious plot is cooking or being cooked up, all will be handled. This hell loop is definitely showing a terrible picture of what we don't want to make the way perfect for what we do. Heaven on earth, 10,000 years of abundance, we're bringing it. Okay, They may be referring to like the white hats or whatever. The alliance, by the way, the good guys. So that's what I was reading. And this was another part. This is some older intel. Some of this was about the German bonds. I'll go over, jump down to the procedures. This may be important. It says bring your driver's license, 2 utility bills showing your address. If you have a trust, bring that. I've heard of skeleton trust, meaning if you have the tax ID number already, bring that with you as well. Bring your indenture agreement. By the way, that's similar to your articles of incorporation. If you do have a trust set up, if you're prepared, this is what they're saying. If you have a project proposal, bring it. You'll go over this towards the end. It says of your first meeting and a second to be more thorough. If you have a second meeting, I heard, this is saying you'll sign a non-disclosure agreement and rate agreement when you first arrive. There is no negotiating on the rate. Now, I'm assuming this is dealing with exchange centers. That's only if you have, I've heard if you have Zim, then you would need to go call the 800 numbers. Once SafeLink, all that is rolled out, by the way, that's what that would apply to. But I hear if you don't have Zim, say if you're just holding Dinar or Dong or Indonesian Rupiah or whatever, then you will be able to go to a regular bank and exchange. But I can't say for sure, so it will always behoove one when this does roll out or you do hear, I'm not the foremost authority. Do your own research, make sure you check. By the way, this is not financial securities or investment or legal advice, just going over, which may be for the tier 4B, the internet group, by the way. So I'm going to jump down. I'm not going to read everything as this is a lot of stuff and I'm on a time restraint, by the way. So I've got to head into the plantation tonight, by the way. So I'm going to get ready to wrap things up. I'm going to go back in a little bit. If you guys have any comments, questions, this was Q&A. So just to put it out there, if you have any questions, even if it's unrelated, I'll do my level best to answer the question you have. So feel free to chime in, because I may not, based on how many people we receive, if I don't get to everything yet. But I wanted to show you guys the reason I'm doing a screen capture, to show you the different websites that you can read from to gather intel if you're curious. And some of them you can go back in the archives. And since I'm sharing my screen, you guys, if you're smart enough, you can see the website for the URL, the hypertext protocol link to, in your own leisure, whatever computer you use, if it's an Apple, whatever web browser, if it's Google Chrome or Mozilla, whatever, in your spare time, you will be able to, see the same information, obviously, when I'm going over. So scrolling down, this is talking about projects and things. This was pretty long. Okay, it says, okay, I wanted to go read this part. It says the DOD, I guess that stands for Department of Defense, is who is Nick talking about. Department of Defense is stating wants to control this. Throughout the years, they've changed things, guys, and it's constantly an evolving situation. This is even in sovereignty, because I've heard on Mark Z's call that he does on YouTube, his evening and his morning calls, where a lot of people have asked about the straw man thing. He encourages them to hold off on that type of stuff. But very similarly, with things have changed throughout the years, the people in control, the people behind the curtain, just be mindful that certain things have not been the same. So that's why I wanted to scroll down. I'm gonna read some of this information. It says, because the DOD don't have personnel or focus to manage people's projects / money, this is a strategic change that is under discussion right now. And I think some of this was going over. I went over a little bit of this information prior, where I heard they want to manage your projects if you're not capable of managing the big humanitarian projects yourself. You may have to partner with Ernst & Young. I guess they appear to be something similar to like that deals with maybe accountants or wealth managers. I hear for maybe your second appointment, if you have Zim or whatever, some people may do this anyway after they make their exchange. The wealth management department is a higher tier than private banking. So they may be able to better handle down the road. You also have financial advisors. So Ernest and Young may be something like that. They were saying that the Department of Defense behind the scenes is involved, because I did hear that they have done background checks, and they know, they're going to know, and they're going to track the currencies too. TNT mentioned this a long time ago. Why he's a credible guru, he's mentioned this and said it would probably be important to, if you have Dinar, put each one of your currencies in a separate bank account so they can be tracked individually, because they are going to be tracked, by the way. This was also talking about some new information where the new administration, I believe, in my humble opinion, the thief that stole this election, he didn't win fair and square, by the way. They wanted to add a tax, even though the taxes had already been calculated from what Fleming was saying prior, that they already had a plan under, had Trump gotten in, the cabal was delaying this, by the way. So you can say the evil ones behind the curtain did some of these changes where they're trying to almost like double tax this, but the tax and stuff was already supposed to be calculated. That was explained even on TNT's call. Some other intel providers explained that, how, because some will wonder, would this be capital gains? So like I said, this is not tax or legal advice from my end, but just to kind of give you an idea what this article is saying, that the Biden administration put things in the infrastructure bill, which, just like with the cryptocurrency, similarly, they wanted to pull money from the currency holders, investors of this particular investment as well. But I heard that they had already years ago calculated that, but we won't know until this actually goes down. We'll find out. But just to give you guys a heads up, by the way, Fleming is mentioning this is what Biden is up to. That's why he's more of the evil one compared to Trump, as far as what we're trying to do, because all of this should have gone a long time ago. Because Biden, he's connected obviously to the cabal, to the evil ones, just like Obama, Barry Soetoro, and Hillary Rodham Clinton, by the way. Just putting it out there. One can do their own research. I went over in a lot of my older videos that you listened to on the Dinar. That was accuracy to that, by the way. When you get into Barack Obama, aka Barry Soetoro, and his minions and gatekeepers and Fauci and them, who's been around for a very long time, the cabal families and then out there holding this up. I heard earlier in the year, by the way, when Ding Ding and Ho Ho stole the election and got in, the commander in chief, they had done some things where they intentionally, they changed some things around, by the way, because, you know, the cabal, they had actually met with the good guys years ago. This is what this documentary called Changes on the Horizon actually talks about in the documentary, which I mentioned numerous times in the past. If you guys haven't watched that, it will behoove you to watch that documentary called Changes on the Horizon. And it explains, and the cabal, they double crossed the good guys, the white hats, and they're still up to their dirty tricks. And look what they're trying to pull. They're trying to force people to take that poison, by the way, like they're trying to knock you off and steal all your private money behind the scenes, by the way, just evil. But you really need to make your own assessment. And that's where the Illuminati stuff connects with the banking stuff, in case you guys are wondering, by the way. Not trying to sound conspiratorial, but this information is important. On a side note, for those people who ask or wonder about those things or where the connection lies at. But this is going back to, because the government has been infiltrated, obviously, by some very corrupt people. If that wasn't the case, you wouldn't be having federal judges come out putting injunctions to put a stop, to try to force an individual to push the poison amongst people, the mandate, which is clearly unconstitutional. And, you know, not just my opinion, but read the Bill of Rights, read the First Amendment. It goes over some of these types of things, by the way. The Bill of Rights, read the Constitution. Clearly talks about the freedom of expression, freedom of religion. Is totally, completely opposite of mandates. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, too, by the way. Just saying, doesn't take rocket science. This was taught to me when I was in high school. I took economics class. I had economics in high school, was tied in with world history and things of that sort, by the way. So without further ado, it says this is a strategic change that is under discussion right now. Zim, Dinar, and Don are the only currencies we ask for contract rates, the only currency slash accounts that the DoD have control over. If you have enough currency, you can put it into a leverage payout and coordinate your own projects. It's not prohibited for you to do your own projects. The DoD will only have oversight on the currency slash bonds you exchange at a contract rate. Now, this is newer information, even though this is from November 5th, this article that I'm reading from, by the way, says, I'm gonna say that again, it says this last part of this paragraph section says the DoD will only have oversight on the currency slash bonds you exchange at a contract rate, which only includes ZIM, IQD, VND. This is a function of their system at this moment and is subject to change. They're going to keep a lot of stuff to themselves until we go. You have 45 minutes or so for your first meeting. Only when you're sitting at the table can you get the definite correct answer. This will be the same for everyone, most likely once the exchange slash redemption starts. These details will be clearly stated and the same across the board. There are many stories out there right now. No one knows what's true. Take in your project details and see what they decide. Put your best 100% forward. What kind of security will be provided in this redemption process? We will be in financial centers, possibly inside the bank. The walk from your car to the location will be very secure. You'll be fine. Keep the faith. That's why I said they ran background checks and they did other types of security. I heard about on top of that to make sure that holders are safe. By the way, I even heard allegedly some things with their cell phone once the process goes through. By the way, so I'm gonna go back to the chat section, see if any more of you guys have joined. Okay, Gretchen Helm says salute at Dorsey Stars, says peace at the chat. Okay, thank you for joining, Gretchen Helm. NATO says they're using psychology mixed with emotional mind control. Yes, it was even former some military people that mentioned how they use the color revolution tactics that even special forces are trained in when they go in other countries. They did this with the election. It's former psych warfare propaganda. You see that a lot of that from the mainstream media, but those things can change down the road. By the way, Anthony says, "Good evening, peeps." Good evening to you, Anthony. Robert Sefer says, video on Jekyll Island and the bankers. Yes, that's good. That's good information to learn about the creature from Jekyll Island. That was also an audio. I believe there was also a book. By the way, I can't remember. Says please remove the share application. Okay, it says your screen sharing is paused. Okay. Okay, now I'm back. Okay, now I'm back, guys. It was telling me to remove the screen sharing. So there may be a delay on you guys in. So I'm pretty much wrapped up. If you guys have any questions, statements, questions, or concerns, this is the last call. Feel free to jump in, chime in. The video may have restarted without my awareness because it was saying from my end, says started streaming less than a minute ago. So I may have got cut off, by the way. Not sure, but it looks like this is coming from the same video. Okay, the chat section is the same. So I may have lost the feed temporarily for a while. So that's about it for the most part. So once again, I went over the title of this video was where to find intel on the Iraqi dinar and other foreign currencies, revaluation Q&A, because the previous video that I had done, that I had intended, where I talked about this topic, I really got sidetracked. I started talking a lot about cryptocurrencies and got really away from the topic, what I intended to go over. Oh, there's one other thing I'm going to share. I'm going to do share screen again. by the way. Hopefully, let me see. Okay. There's another window. Okay, go to our military. Okay, there's another screen. I'm gonna go over this last bit of information. That's not it. Okay, well, I'm gonna click on blog. This should take me over to the latest. Okay, this is from the second. This is from yesterday. So you guys should be able to see. If I go to my other screen, you guys can see where I'm reading from. This is real short, by the way. I read this earlier. This is from December 2nd. It says Iraq dinar has a new rate. It says Iraq went international Monday. The rate when we see it will be over $11.90 USD. To demonstrate further, tomorrow or whenever we exchange, we should be able to go to the bank or redemption center and exchange 1 million dinars will equal 11,900,000 USD. Okay, read that again. I don't know if they're talking about a reinstatement, a RI before you get a RV. There's something different. Much more has taken place in Iraq with this change of currency value. Marathon and oil companies, Philip, have contracted to drill 307 new wells so far. The investment in Iraq will only escalate from here. Apparently, the IMF stopped Iraq on Monday from notifying the world of this new global rate. No reasons were given for this. Tonight, this goes live on Forex, and there can be, I think that's a typo, and well, it says, and there's, it says, and there can be, that looks like a typo, and there can be no, it can be hidden no longer. Tonight, this goes live on Forex. This can be hidden no longer. It says, hallelujah, this now places Baghdad, Iraq as the premier trade hub for all of the Middle East. This is saying, God bless the golden dinar and the sovereign people of Iraq. The time for rebuilding this war-torn nation has arrived, by the way. Okay, so in relation to some people that had questions as far as what happened over there, as far as I know some was stated about having compassion for the Iraqi people. Keep in mind that, okay, let me stop the screen share, that they did what they did many years ago. There was a plan, there was an agenda. I'm just reading the notes. I've never been in the military. I've almost signed up some years ago. By the way, I do have respect for armed service members, by the way, through all the holidays I had mentioned in the past, by the way. But there were some people that mentioned about, someone said something about, I think Currency 365 was going over one of the videos, and I wanted to respond to this to let it be known. I shared a video sometime before the election from someone who was from that Middle East or region of the world that stated at the time, it was something in relation to the election or whatever, but I know there's things that happen and hopefully, you know, for the better, you can use these funds, the currency can be used for the betterment of humanity. There's some things I've gone into detail about in the past for people that do have humanitarian projects to genuinely help, because a lot of the ruling class, a lot of the elite, the cabal, they use their nonprofits and foundations for corrupt purposes. Ask, do they use it for the benefit of humanity is what's key. And I want to say, I do have compassion of things that happen. It's not in my control. This is something I learned about many years ago. There's many different causes that people join as far as protests that are happening in other countries and things overseas, and that's fine. I'm just speaking in response to what Currency 365. I kind of felt some of it may have been directed at me or maybe some other people, but keep in mind, one could make an argument that a lot of people who buy Apple products or iPhones, they're used from people that are captured, are slaves, are forced enslaved labor to make components to those devices. There was even a comedian that spoke at some type of a award show right in front of the CEO, Tim Cook. I remember one year, a friend of mine knows about it. I saw excerpts, clips of it, that one should feel concerned about that. But a lot of people buy a lot of Apple products. I have never owned an iPhone. I've never had an Apple computer, by the way. But as I said, some people boycott different things. But keep in mind, even the clothes we wear, we may not know where it comes from. Things are embedded. But you can't just accuse everyone of just that are part of this investment as far as being materialistic. I'm not a materialistic person. I know there's people that are money hungry. When I was part of that event years ago, there were people on the calls that were discussing how when they got access, and I don't judge. I'm saying at the same time, I don't really judge people that, that talked about these things, but there were people who were talking about they were going to buy big houses, Lamborghini, stuff like that. I don't brag about stuff like that. I genuinely wanted to, when I get access to this wealth, God willing, inshallah, it's one of the first things I want to do is definitely be able to quit going to this plantation, which I have to go into tonight, because a lot of these corporations, these companies have become very corrupt. I have a legal situation I'm looking into with kudos to my private legal advisors, by the way, from had someone that works in personnel at our office based in Detroit that went into my private file and changed my tax information without my awareness, which is a violation of my due process of law, by the way. This happened some weeks ago, I would say maybe late October. I discovered, and they were refusing to cooperate even after I showed them the law. And I still hadn't gotten around, because the company had got bought out by another company, to contacting the human resource department in Ohio or management. But I do plan on filing a complaint with several different agencies, by the way, thanks to my legal advisor. One of them speaking to me. And if people don't know, you can even file a COL lawsuit under color of law, Title 42 lawsuit in federal court. If I was more skilled, there's people who are very fluent with the law that know how to file summons and complaints, that knows that are familiar with legal paperwork and things. But it's just so sad that, it's just something that set me back somewhat, but I'm working on freeing myself, by the way, because to me, my freedom is more important than just the money or funding, by the way, which it would have been helpful had those things happened many years ago. But I want you to know I'm a genuine person, and I feel like I can appreciate these things more when I receive them, because I know myself very well, my own personality. I grew up a mama's boy, a church boy, and by me being raised in the church, even though I don't have a church home, I don't attend, Christianity was the foundation of my religion, what gave me my morals and values, what my parents, my mother, what she instilled in me. By the way, I go by those principles. So that's why if I've discussed politics, if I may seem like why I lean more to the right than I do the left, I'm more conservative, even though some may consider me a libertarian. However, I'm not a registered voter, though. By the way, I have evidence. I actually have it with me in my possession. I like to demonstrate. This is my voter registration. I canceled. This is several different copies. I canceled a long time ago, by the way, which means there's certain contracts that I don't enter into. I have a plethora of knowledge. So it just is really sad when this personnel person where I go pick my check up from in Madison Heights, she refused to file, just went in changed my tax information. And I hadn't even filled out the W-4, the federal, the state, or the city yet, and just changed my information, and then refused to accept the information I filled out. But I stated to her I could not see what she's putting in the system, and she's claiming she couldn't see it and is not cooperating. And most likely she's liberal. Some other employees I work with said she likes, by the fact of wearing a mask, you're breathing your own toxins, that's been proven by Dr. Judy Mikovits and others who I commend, whistleblowers going public, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, all the ones, doctors that are telling you the truth out there that are trying to warn you that ironically YouTube happens to be censoring, by the way. And that's why I also suggest, before I shut this video down, why I'm already on other platforms, and I do plan on going on other platforms such as Rumble. I'm already on. I just have to upload more videos there. But yeah, check out, you know, these other platforms. So and create a username, create a login. So YouTube won't have all this power in Twitter with these draconian rules that they're implementing, because they just taken upon themselves to just violate the law and break the law and think that there's not going to be repercussions. But I am considering contacting the local news, and that's actually a reporter I met from one of the local news stations that told me it was about something else he was willing to do a story about. And so I just said, I hate to, you know, get in these situations, but it seems a lot of leftists have a tendency, liberals think they can do anything they want to do, like rules for thee, but not for me, by the way. So that's one of the things I have been going through behind the scenes, by the way, recently that was done. I won't say the person's name, but down the road, I'm not afraid to dox people either. But but I gave her the paperwork. She refused. And I've done this successfully with two different employers, even when I lived out of state, by the way. And I have the law to back up what I did, by the way, in case of wondering. I have printouts, by the way. There's even websites. I had a private consultation with someone not too long ago where I helped out. He inquired about it, by the way. The only person so far only that knew about it, by the way, but I'm just kind of being hush hush, but had the nerve, the audacity to go in my file. And you know, that deals with your Social Security and under the Privacy Act of 1974. So that's a violation of my due process of law. Due process deals with the right to be served, to have notice, by the way, after when the check was transferred over to the new company, by the way, because we used to have direct deposit years ago, but at a certain point, they give us physical checks. So I have to go up there under the new pay period. The date changed from a different day bi-weekly. And it's going to be very interesting. But I said, I'm just, you know, I'm going to have to report this because I shouldn't let this slide. But there's multiple agencies this can be reported to, by the way, other than, you know, taking this on legal. I know hiring a lawyer, attorney, that's public stuff. For those that know about the private sector, it's a different way that the elites use these gatekeepers and the public, by the way, because I know it involves money generally when this is a legal situation, because she's refusing to cooperate. I gave her the law when I filled out the paperwork, put it in on the form. It's a certain section. I even went online and looked up the public side way, and there's instructions where employee can file a certain type of way when they're doing their W-4s. And it's just refusing to file it. And I said, I explained to a friend of mine who gave her delegation of authority under the Constitution, because I didn't hire her as my accountant. I even asked her, I said, are you an accountant? She says, well, I work with them. I work with the human resource. So, oh, really, huh? You work with them. But are you my certified public accountant? It's like a lady told me when I used to be a security guard at Home Depot some years ago. And I asked for her to show me her receipt. And she said, no, you're lawyering in the state of Michigan. We're not required to. And she was correct at the time. In comparison, this person that is part of personnel, whoever went into my private records, who I suspected was her, because she said, oh, you had too many exemptions on file. But who gave you the nerve to be my accountant, my CPA? I did not hire you or retain you as my lawyer or tax attorney or certified public accountant. But, you know, when you have liberals, leftists who think they can do anything they want to do, sometimes you have to take action. I encourage you to show them no mercy. So I will probably down the road filing a complaint with multiple agencies and contacting the news, by the way, to do a story on this, because I think they'll be really interested. I even talked to someone that worked for a major corporation downtown Detroit, used to work for Blue Cross. I won't say who, that told me that they were wrong for that, for going into your files, just changing your information without your awareness, by the way. Imagine the audacity. This is the society where we're moving to and other things, where these people think they just been granted power and they're personnel. And she says she's not even an accountant, but just says, I work with the human resource. So you see the audacity some people have in the criminality, the corruption, public corruption, by the way. And I encourage you guys, if you see public corruption, I forgot to mention this to you guys a while ago in relation to the election, because you know, YouTube, there's a big cover up. Check out the Epoch Times video, subscribe to their channel if you can. Look at their latest video, by the way. This is in relation, there was actually a former judge there who said that there was a cover up. He could see with the, you know what, he's filing some stuff. Because there's some things that are going on, but I know that there's evidence of what happened, what took place here in Michigan. I was able to find an article where a certain individual was subpoenaed, by the way, 2 different clerks, and I know them by their names, by the way, and I know the news agency reported on it, but all of a sudden we haven't heard any updates from it. That's why I think the shooting thing, that's a distraction too, by the way. They love stuff like that. You know, not saying it was a false flag, that appears to be something real where the parents are gonna get charged, or I heard they're on a run or something like that. But they love to have stuff like that as a cover up. But it's other things, other investigations going on. And I encourage you guys, call 1-800-FBI. They were here not too long ago. And guess what? They raided downtown City Hall, the Coleman Young building. They even went to some of city council members' homes. One guy was already removed for taking bribes, but they not only said this had to do with towing contracts, they also said this had to do with votes. And one of the news agencies was the only one I saw that threw that in there, said votes that were paid for, by the way. So I just said, wondering. But I told a friend of mine that's a conservative, I don't have any connection to any political party. I'm not Democrat or Republican, because as I just showed you guys, proof, by the way, I'm not a registered voter, never will be, don't have any plans on in the future, certain contracts I don't get involved with. But I just found that interesting. The FBI, you guys can look up the story. They raided downtown Detroit City Hall not too long ago. So I continue, I told my friend, it's mighty funny. He introduced me to someone who I had already known, who I didn't know was actually a Republican board poll watcher, who told me she was downtown that day when that, you know, cover-up thing happened that was broadcasted. And I said, I just happened to say to her that day, we went out after this event, we went to a restaurant, went to one of my favorite restaurants, Crackleberry. And I said, this is a form of public corruption. And I said, certain individuals in key positions of power that are refusing to investigate, by the way, who I've never seen this type of corruption this rampant before. When I tell a friend, I was watching a video, there was a guy who was a former Don over a mafia, the Italian mob, by the way. He talked about how I think his father dated Marilyn Monroe when John F. Kennedy dated her years ago. This guy who was telling the story, I don't know his name, a good friend of mine, another friend of mine knew this guy. I was watching this YouTube video just randomly, and he said he knows what happened to Jimmy Hoffa, but he didn't go into all the details. And he said that today's society is way more corrupt than when he was around years ago. So that showed me he had a level of ethics, morals to him, but he was a former head of the Italian mob, by the way, one of the families. So just saying, when you compare today's society and the corruption that's going on, but I encourage you guys, as I told a friend, you see rampant corruption like that, contact your local news, contact the U.S. Marshals, file a complaint. Don't hesitate, by the way, because there are some good people within these agencies who will investigate. Sometimes it takes multiple people to put pressure on them and gather all the facts, resubmit your affidavits and stuff like that, because that puts pressure, because they want this thing to be, everything to be covered up when it deals with the poison, that thing as well. And notice that YouTube is complicit in this plot. Just something to think about, because I encourage you guys, use critical thinking, by the way. So I'm gonna go to the chat section before I wrap things up. So that's pretty much about my time. I have the separate screen just in case you guys are watching. I can't see the chat section when I'm recording Zoom. That's in live time. My other screen, there's a delay. So I'm going to read you guys chats. It says, okay, I read that one earlier. I read the one about Jekyll Island. Yes, check out, I think the guy that wrote the book that was over Jekyll Island, there was also audio that was G. Edward Griffin or Edward G. Griffin, something like that. If you can Google or research his name, G. Edward Griffin. He was behind Creature from Jekyll Island. Also check out the movie Money Masters. Mark Dice did a story about that the guy I didn't know that played in the show Quantum Leap that died, he was in, he hosted, I didn't even know this, Money Masters, or one of the films, Monopoly Man. It might have been, I think it was Money Masters, he said. The guy that just died, that was part of the show Quantum Leap years ago. But check out the documentary Money Masters. Also check out Monopoly Man. Check out Changes on the Horizon. By the way, it says games for you, says what's the code? I'm not sure. Okay, you're referring to the tax code. The law I was going over earlier would deal with CFR Title 26, Section 3402, subsection P-1 and P in parentheses. But it's important you do research on several different sites to find the correct verbiage and the correct section. Miss Happy Dog says, hey, Dorsey, I've been waiting 18 years. I don't know who to join, etc. I have always liked and felt you were sincere. Okay, I've had a lot of people tell me that. Thank you for the compliment. Lynn Hopper says, forgot to say hello when I chimed in. Appreciate you, Lynn. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. There. Okay, I was reading from the chat section. So Zoom is pretty cool. So I was able to share my screen and show you guys what I read from. You guys can gather more evidence. And I'm going to put really quick, I'm going to do maybe another updated video down the road where I want to go over the other social media sites. But I'm going to punch in the chat section some of the information, the documentaries I went over. You can look up on YouTube documentaries to check out. Is change is on the horizon. And I know Mary Saunders, you mentioned you already saw that, but this will be for the newbies. I always encourage, continue to do your research. Monopoly Men. Check out Money Masters. And what's that other documentary? Oh, Ring of Power. Ring of Power. Empire of the City. Now, Ring of Power may be called something else. It may have had another name attached to it, but that should still pull it up if you know how to research. All these documentaries you can check out on YouTube. Also, check out this other video. I'm going to go to Rumble in real time. Boy, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, go to Rumble. Let me see if I can find. Seeing if I can find my own page. Oh, it's not pulling up. Might have to do something different. Okay, that's okay. I can do that at a different time. Okay. Okay, there we go. Check this out. I'm gonna post a link, hopefully this link in the chat section. You guys really want to check this out. Okay, I'm gonna stop screen share real quick. And I'm gonna post this in the chat. That's the link. I posted, you guys, where I just posted. Hopefully this should re-upload after the video. Check out that story, by the way, with Stu Peters. He has some good information, by the way. Okay, I see Joe Sanchez in the chat says, I'm just tuning in. I know you're into crypto too. Are you aware XRP and all of the recent airdrops taking place? Free crypto. I've heard about it. I'm not fully aware. I've heard about airdrops dealing with NFTs. That stands for non-fungible tokens. It's like digital artwork. I don't know all the details about it. Joe Sanchez says, look up these airdrops. They've been lucrative. Okay, appreciate the information. Mary Saunders replied, yes, I have. Yep. Thank you, Mary. I know you were paying attention. So I'm trying to think what other information. There's some other things I wanted to go over. I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit screen share again. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, no, I want to go to YouTube. Okay, let's look up. Okay, wow, they removed a lot of stuff in relation. This guy, Ted Gunderson, look him up. Look up. You see how I typed in the search? Look up Noreen. Gosh, look at these. Even though these are older videos, it's very important. But see, they removed a lot of stuff. Well, this one was good. I'm gonna put in a link so you guys can see what I see in real time. I want you guys to see this. Now I'm going to stop the screen share real quick, and I'm going to go over to the chat section. This is additional video. The previous, this was Ted Gunderson. He was a former FBI agent. It's the previous link I posted. Okay, check out his information. It'll help you understand for those, you know how the mainstream liberal media, even members of Congress, they're trying to cover a lot of stuff up, and they were trying to say what happened with Pizzagate, that wasn't real. I'm giving you guys, equipping you guys with the skill sets like I do to do research for things that used to be very accessible on YouTube that they're trying to hide or cover up. By the way, some things you can still find, like what I just pulled up, by the way. But also, when you check and become members of these other independent alternative media sites, some people who have been blacklisted or removed from YouTube or other platforms, they're on some of these other sites, or you can find some of these other videos. So, and you email them privately, share them with your friends, your loved ones, warn your children. So something down the road can be done about this, and we can reverse engineer the evil ones' plans, the globalists, because you know what they're obviously up to. They're trying to force everyone to take the poison. That is a form of soft kill. Is think about the efficacy and all of that is it's been designed. They don't prevent you know what, but do your research, because it's not also medical advice. I did give a disclaimer, but make sure you research the information thoroughly, by the way. And that's about it so far. This video, I appreciate you guys rocking with me. The title of this video, I did go over earlier on, most of the video, where to find intel on the Iraqi dinar and other foreign currencies, revaluation and Q&A. There was a little bit of Q&A, but it's that time for me to get ready to head in. So I'm going to get ready to end. You guys want to follow me on social media. Also, don't forget to thumbs up the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so whenever I put out new content, you will be notified by YouTube. You can follow me on minds.com. I'm on Twitter, Rumble, at Dorsey's Resource. Rumble, you may not be able to find me yet. I've got to upload more content over there. Brighteon.com I'm on as well. I got to put some stuff over there as well. But I do have a Dorsey's Resource Facebook page. I normally just upload my most recent videos over there, by the way. So without further ado, I'm your host, John Dorsey at Dorsey's Resource. Until next time, I appreciate you guys rocking with me. The marathon will continue. Real legends never die. Stay woke. Peace.